Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. And yes, we're coming in a little bit earlier today because it's my weekend and I freaking killed my lower back while working out and cleaning this weekend. So today I decided I was going to give my lower back a little bit of a break and spend a majority of the day after I got done cleaning with my back up against the heating pad. Alright, folks, we are going to be speaking about that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we get going, folks, give the usual disclaimers. You are going to see the link right there in the description box, alongside the other pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, and the templates, you know the drill. Sign your name, click on your senator, and the ever-present and self-explanatory Change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. Now, folks, when we talk about the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of peoples with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, folks, please use your headphones, all right? Now, it is 3:49. Yes, I'm already exhausted. I woke up early, started cleaning again around 6 a.m. this morning. So if I stumble over any of my words, my apologies in advance, alright? Okay, we're going to where we left off last night. Okay, when questioned about this discrepancy, Dr. Israel reported that the smocks were easily torn and inconvenient and were no longer in use. Remember, this is the smocks that kids were supposed to wear to keep them dry. Remember, whatever inconvenience is the staff, they do away with. But whatever actually harms the child, well, they turn that up to 11 now, don't they? The cool shower is administered in a bathroom on the lower level of the school. The shower stall is built into the main part of the bathroom and is regulated by time and temperature controls, which do not allow the water to fall below 55 degrees, and which regulate the amount of time the water will remain on, reported to be 30 seconds. Yeah, that makes me feel better about it. In addition, there is a log which must be signed by a treatment worker who administers the shower, as well as a locked tally which records daily and cumulative use of the shower. A reading is made of that tally on a daily basis by the maintenance person. Oh yeah, that makes me feel so much better. Yeah, it's alright if you torture people, as long as you document it. Fuck's sake. The shower is applied through a garden hose and a handheld gun-type spray nozzle. Although it is described as a cold shower, the 55-degree water felt cold to the touch. Yeah? New York students were observed being pinched, spanked, placed in timeout helmet, sprayed with water, and receiving various lesser consequences. And y'all didn't see anything wrong with this. I mean, I know it was 1979, but fucking seriously? Would you think about doing that to misbehaving normal kids? Of course not. You would have screamed bloody fucking murder, but it's always different when it comes to disabled kids, isn't it? And that is true right down to this day, folks. They see no problem with using the stick and carrot routine, using rewards and punishments on disabled kids at all. None whatsoever. Granted, not all are quite as extreme as the JRC, and there are examples of those who have been more extreme than the JRC in the past, but the principle is the same. You still treat disabled students differently than you treat their non-disabled peers. We're expected to work more with less breaks, less downtime, and if we have behaviors because of it, well, that is a consequence to be punished, instead of maybe dealing with the fact that maybe because we give disabled kids no fucking leisure time, or downtime, or rest time, that these behaviors result. They would result in any normal human being who was worked 24/7. But once again, because we're disabled, we're just not treated the same. And it's garbage, folks. Even in 1979, it was standardized that students be well fed at breakfast and that it would help with their concentration in class. These are known scientific facts of nutrition. However, with disabled kids, you think it's okay to deprive them of that if they have behaviors. How is that supposed to help the situation? That is just going to make it worse. But these people don't operate on logic. After one New York State client was pitched on the foot, he walked to the classroom door, and another time to the bathroom, with his toes curled and the weight on his heels. This prevented his whole foot from touching the floor. He was chided by his treatment worker for pretending to be injured. Fucking imagine that. So they just pinched his foot with fingernails, breaking the skin. And then this kid then gets punished for acting like he's injured because he is. Think about that. How fucked is that? Programmed opportunities. Behavior Research Institute does not attempt to prevent a student from exhibiting a behavior. That is, no attempt is made to divert or redirect a student when he becomes upset or is about to engage in an inappropriate or harmful behavior. If a child is upset and is about to hit himself, staff will not intervene by redirecting him to a task or holding his arm, both accepted educational interventions. Rather, the staff prefers to have the child exhibit the behavior, so they might utilize the planned adversive. In order for the behavior modification to be effective, the behavior must be exhibited frequently enough so that the child learns the consequence of that behavior. How fucked up is that? How fucked up is that? Condescending bullshit. Well, they're so stupid that we have to do this over and over again so that they'll get it. No, Karen, you're doing it because you like it. You like hurting disabled people. You like that we're fucking helpless. You like that we have no recourse, no place to go, and nobody who will listen to us for 5 fucking minutes about you corrupt, evil pieces of shit. You provoke the behaviors. You then punish the behaviors. Period. Period. They don't want to redirect behaviors because they want to continue the punishment. There is no development here. None. All it does is teach the child to fear punishment. So how does that help them grow as a human being? It makes them do only the minimum amount to not get punished. Period. Period. If you were to have an intelligent intervention, you would find out what it was that was upsetting the child. Like perhaps they're starving to death because you make them perform like a circus seal in order to get each bite of food, and when they don't, you deprive them of that food. And then you would think, maybe if I fed the child like a regular child would be fed, perhaps this behavior would not result. But again, we can't have logic enter the chat, now can we? Massachusetts. When the target behavior does not occur spontaneously as often as is necessary in the program, the staff set up programmed opportunities for behavior. Remember, this is the most fucked up thing on the planet. So if the kid is doing what they're supposed to, if the kid is behaving, they are not engaging in that behavior, they will then induce that behavior in the child so that they can punish it, so that the child will know better. Well, if the child is not engaging in the behavior, logic dictates that the child knows it's wrong and doesn't need to be fucking punished for something they obviously already know is wrong and are not doing it. In order to eradicate that behavior, the staff prompts her to still juice so that it might punish her for that behavior. The instructions taped on her classroom table read as follows. We'll get into a little bit of that tomorrow. But that's the logic we're working with here, folks. It's completely insane. If a child is not engaging in an inappropriate behavior, instead of, sticking carrot here, rewarding them for progress, well, they're going to induce them and force them to do that behavior so that they can then punish them for that behavior so that they will learn that it is wrong. Logic would dictate, if they are not engaging in that behavior anymore, that they learn the fucking lesson. They got the goddamn memo. Remember, these are the behavioral lessons where they will force out that behavior to then punish it. If the child does not respond to being forced, they will then punish them for not doing what the staff told them to do. It's abuse, folks. Plain and fucking simple. And how the hell the state of Massachusetts, and for the love of God, our own fucking DC Circuit Court can't see that this is batshit insane, that it is abuse for the sake of abuse, and they get away with it because they call it treatment, and because people with disabilities and their families, more often than not, when they get sent to this school, can't fight back. See, here's a fact, and I brought it up in my last stream. These folks prey upon poor families, in particular, poor minority families who live in communities that have no access to any other types of more well-rounded interventions that have come from the last 3 decades. They prey upon those communities. And then they promise them the sun, sky, and the moon. They do not at all fully represent exactly what goes on into that school. And guess what happens? Yeah. I'm going to say it. And if you don't think that racism as well as ableism doesn't play a part in it, explain why 70% of the students stuck in that hellhole right now are from minority families who live in poor communities. See, these people can't get their heads around this fucking Massachusetts, so progressive, so mainstream, so above everyone else, can't seem to figure out that maybe they should put state funding that they're throwing at the JRC every year, millions of dollars every year, into funding infrastructure into these poor communities and assisting and providing services that are up to date for these kids like every other fucking state in the union. They can't seem to get their head around that, to provide services that are actually going to help that kid develop and help them become full and an independent functioning as possible human being. No, they rather throw money at a school that continues to torture and traumatize children year after year, generation after generation. They don't use logic. They don't use common sense. They don't want to throw money into this idea of providing better infrastructure, better special education schools, and providing funding for better programs for people with disabilities to come into these communities to service the population. They'd rather throw millions every year at this school and then forget about the kids who are being traumatized there. And on that note, folks, and yeah, I said it, I'm going to go ahead and close out this afternoon We don't get very many views on this channel, especially on this subject. And the few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time. So, folks, please don't forget to hit that like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time this afternoon, and as always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.